Well, hey friend, happy Monday to you. Hopefully you're doing well. It seems like everybody's in a staff meeting and I choose to go live. But hopefully we'll have a few people jump on here. I wanted to go live and talk about Easter because we're really coming up on a month and I want to give you some quick ideas to do maybe some last minute promotion. So maybe you haven't been going through the Rethinking Easter course. This is what I'm going to call a crash course. So just kind of give you the highlights and get you into it. So if you're like, man, we've kind of been so busy, we've been doing X, Y, and Z, we haven't had a chance to really dial in our promotion, this is going to be for you. So this is going to be our Easter crash course. So I'm going to walk you through if you just had a very limited budget and time to promote. What's up, guys? Hey, Robert. Then this is what I would recommend. Let me also tell real quick as people are jumping on. Our spring enrollment for Church Marketing University is now open. So it's open through March 8th. So we're going to have a time here where you can enroll your church. What's unique about this enrollment is that it's the last time we're offering 2 years of access for the 67% off price. So we've essentially tripled the amount of content inside Church Marketing University. We've added like a private Facebook group. We've added Church Audio University. We've added a live streaming course, a video editing course. We've doubled the amount of modules and courses in there. And so we are essentially in the fall going to bring back access from 2 years to 1 year. So now is the best time to jump in. It's the last time we're going to offer the 2 years of access. So spring enrollment is now open through the 8th. The other thing that I wanted to let you guys know about is we've got, hello guys, what's up? We've got a really cool guide coming out because a lot of people, again, if you're cramming at the last minute, maybe you're a procrastinator, you're like, man, I don't have time to go through the whole course. We've got a really cool PDF guide that's coming out that you can go more in depth with, and I'm super pumped about this. Tim over at Church Brand Guide and Evan Cox with the St. Louis Dream Center did a fantastic job putting this together. So if you're a much more visual person, you guys can get the guide. I'm going to be putting it inside the course. So all the downloads, be sure you guys are looking at these downloads because these are all the done for you, like follow-up stuff, tips, Mother's Day ideas. So I'm going to be adding the ultimate guide here, or if you leave a comment on this video, I will message it to you via Facebook Messenger as soon as we get the final edit done. That'll be this sometime this week. They're going through and doing all the final look over at this point now, making sure we get all the typos and everything. But that'll be going live here this week. So going to do the crash course and then going to get you the PDF. You still can jump into the course. So if you are interested in going much deeper into what we talk about today, you can look at the Rethinking Easter course. Here we've got 5 episodes and 3 bonus episodes that go much more in depth of what I'm going to talk about today, how to apply it. If you want to, like, for example, the advanced Easter marketing plan is 1 hour long with Jason Day from Outreach, and it goes much more in depth on more ideas. So if you like what you hear in this live video, but you want to go more in depth, check out the course, churchmarketinguniversity.com/Easter, and you can get all that as well. So, hey, real quick, can you guys hear me? Can you guys see my screen? Okay. Does everything look and sound okay? I know I've done a couple videos here recently where we had some audio issues. So if it looks and sounds okay, then give me a thumbs up and then we'll jump into this. The other thing I want to, if you're already going through the Rethinking Easter course, then this is a great opportunity for you guys to use this to ask questions. So now's the time to ask questions. There's a couple questions that came in via the Facebook group, the Church Marketers group, that I'm going to get to at the end of this. So yeah, Robert says it's working great. Like Tony the Tiger. Great. So now's the time to ask questions. So we might stop along the way. So now jump in and do that. So let's jump in real quick. Again, this is going to be a crash course, a really high-level overview into Rethinking Easter. Now, if you've been with us for any length of time, you know that I am huge at having church leaders step back and think, okay, why are we putting so much time and energy into Easter? Because getting people to come to your church is good. That's awesome. We celebrate big events. We love that. But the reminder is the key to a great marketing plan is actually getting people to come back after the big event. So we want to move from having a big event to big long-term impact. That's the whole point of this. And I know I've done some one-on-one coaching with some people inside Church Marketing University, and we just keep coming back to this. Like, yes, we could put a ton of focus and energy into getting this huge event, but we've really missed the point if we've totally bombed on our follow-up, on promoting what's coming next, on getting people back to ongoing discipleship. So that's really the big goal of rethinking Easter, is to get you guys to think differently about Easter itself. So if we're good to go, can you guys, real quick, can you guys see my screen? Are you guys seeing the PowerPoint? I just want to make sure that we're seeing that as well. If you're seeing that, give me a thumbs up or say, yep, we can see your screen as well. And I'm going to keep going because I want this to be short and sweet. So tip number one is I want you to define the correct when. So when you're thinking about Easter, and especially like when you're doing your Easter debrief, okay, I don't want you to think that the when is the big event, because I think here's the mistake. We have Easter, there's a big crowd, we high five on Tuesday or Wednesday, we do our debrief meeting, and we go back and we try to evaluate how was Easter. You know, how did it go? We make notes. What are we going to do different? And what was the attendance? How many people raised their hand or responded to some sort of invitation? And here's the problem is if you're doing your debrief Tuesday or Wednesday after Easter, and I don't mind doing an event debrief, but if you're measuring how effective Easter was on Tuesday or Wednesday after, you've missed the point. Because remember, the point is not a big event. The point is long-term discipleship. So it'd almost be like a retail store, Target, looking at a spreadsheet and they're seeing, okay, how many people were in our store, but without ever looking at how many people actually bought something, okay? That would be totally foreign to a business. And so if you're evaluating your Easter without even considering how many people actually came back, how many people did we follow up with effectively, how many people have checked out the church between Easter and Mother's Day, how many people are we developing relationships with, then we've totally missed the point, okay? So tip number one is you have to define the correct when, okay? That's got to be huge. So in your debrief, you have to be looking at things like, how did we do in inviting people back? How many connect cards did we get? How many relationships are we starting? How many people came back within the next 4 weeks? How many people came back on Mother's Day? So that tip number one is you have to define the big win. Tip number two, and you've heard me talk about this hopefully a lot, is you want to start by planning Mother's Day. So when you plan Easter, don't plan with Easter itself. You actually want to go farther out and work backwards, because if the whole point is to invite people back, you have to know what you're inviting people back to, okay? So that's tip number two, is when you start to plan the event, don't actually start with the event. Start with what you're doing afterwards and then work backwards, okay? And tip number three is spend time planning the series after Easter. And then kind of a bonus tip that we talk a lot about in the course is make sure you include a kids series or student ministry series in there as well. You want your whole church, volunteers, staff, board, kids team, student team, not thinking about Easter. You want them thinking about what's that next series and going into Mother's Day as well. And so I know I've used this kind of somewhat hyperbole, this exaggeration, to say, what if your kids pastor, what if you told them that you would give them $1,000 for every kid that actually came back the next week? How would your kids pastor approach Easter Sunday differently if that was the deal? Okay. And so I'm not advocating that, but what I am advocating is your staff thinking about Easter like it's that important. Like they would get $1,000 for every kid or student that came back that next week. What would they do differently on Easter Sunday in order to really drive that home, to invite them back, to get them excited? Because if you can get the kids excited, if you can get the students excited, and you can get maybe the men excited, you've got a great chance of getting them back that next week. Robert's asking, would you recommend all do the same series across the church, Robert, I think that's going to be specific to your church. If you can come up with a series that works great and you think, man, this would be a home run for kids, for students, for adults, then yes, I would say do it. But don't put that pressure that it has to be the exact same series. I think it's smart to think, how can we build excitement in the kids ministry so they're pumped, so when they're walking out the door, they're asking, man, can we go back next week? They're going to do XYZ. It could be a series. It could be something else. You could be doing your big giveaways that next week. And then hopefully on Saturday morning when that kid is waking up, they're like, oh yeah, can we go back? Mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, can we go back to that church because of XYZ? So great question, but I don't think you have to put a ton of pressure to do the exact same thing as far as topically across all your ministries. But I do think what you need all your ministries thinking like this. That's the big thing. If all your ministries are defining success as people coming back, not a big event, now you're on to something. Now you're all thinking we're not to go on vacation the week after Easter. You're thinking the week after Easter is actually more important than Easter itself. Okay? I know that sounds weird, but that's what we talk about in the course. But that's a really good question, Robert. And the next one is get your follow-up systems dialed in. So we're going to talk about an Easter marketing plan here that's really simple, but here's the kind of the secret that a lot of people won't tell you, okay, that I'm going to shoot straight with you, okay? Here's the thing. People are going to come to your Easter services probably whether you promote it or not. Okay, so you're probably going to have a big day whether or not your promotion or marketing is great. So that, in some senses, can take the pressure off. Now, I think what we will describe here will help you have a great day, like a big event. So if I were you and you couldn't do anything, let's say you're a bivocational church planter, yes, I would do some promotion for Easter, but I would much rather you dial in your follow-up because you're going to get a natural bump in your attendance. And if you do a huge event but get nobody back, you've missed the point. But if you do a medium-sized event and get some people back, you can build off that momentum. And that's the biblical mandate of discipleship. So I think if you only had a limited amount of time, I would actually push you to how can we market after Easter? How can we invite people back as opposed to actually spending time promoting Easter? I know that sounds weird, but I don't want you to get things that aren't the main things kind of so important that you miss the follow-up. So get your follow-up systems dialed in. And we talk about inside the course how you can do that with follow-up text messaging, emails. We kind of give you, there's a whole PDF that you can download that's essentially our game plan for following up that you can go deeper inside the course. The next one, tip number 5 is be sure you're being strategic during your Easter services. So the definition, how I define marketing is this, is that marketing is starting new relationships. So you want to think through, if you have all these people there on Easter Sunday, how can you use that event to start new relationships? Everything has to come back to starting and developing those relationships. So one of the big things that we talk about is connect cards, okay? Getting people to give you their contact information, ideally first name, last name, their phone number, and an email. If you can get those things, man, you've got a lot to go off of. So you can do simple connect cards. We have a whole PDF of 20 ideas on how to get people to actually fill those out. What's the best way to get connect cards back on Easter? Typically, I haven't seen a lot of cards come in. Steve, yeah, let's talk about that. So look at the PDF inside Rethinking Easter. There's a whole bunch of different ways. A couple of my favorite ways are, one, make your connect card very, very simple. Okay, the more simple, the more likely people are going to fill it out. You can also offer multiple cards or ways like a digital card and a physical card. I like to put the cards on every seat. Because it's something that everybody has to grab. I feel like if you put it in the seat back in front of you, that gets lost. That totally gets lost. I would put it on every seat, put pins out. I would make it a big deal in service. If you have to, if you feel like we're just stuck, have everybody fill it up. Bring the lights up, have pins, have extra cards, have hosts, make it a big deal. And then you can tag in some what's in it for me. You could have some things that you're maybe going to send them. Maybe you're going to send them your marriage series, or maybe you're going to Everybody goes in for some sort of drawing, like you're giving something fun away, and that's how they enter in. Maybe you're doing a benevolence hook where you're saying, hey, for every card that we get today, we're giving $1 to the local pregnancy care center. So your Connect card. So there's 20 different ideas in that PDF on how you get that Connect card. But those are some of my favorite. And here's another thing that I would say, because a lot of churches will get the most creative and brightest people, right? And what do they have that team do? They have that team plan their event. They have that team come up with song selections and whether or not we're going to have animals on the stage and whether or not we're going to have LED lights going crazy and whatever it is for you, they get their best and their brightest thinking about the event. And here's where I would say time out again. What if you got your best and your brightest people not necessarily planning the event? Now, if they have time, great. But what if you got your best and your brightest people planning your follow-up and your service on how you're going to do stuff like get that Connect card? Because those are the most important things, and our best and our brightest people aren't even touching it. They're not even thinking about that. They're thinking about, should we do this song or that song? Should we steal this thing from the Grammys or that thing? Or what's our theme going to be like? You know, why all those things are great. At the end of the day, they matter much less than starting relationships. And yes, I'm all for all those things. I think a great experience is awesome. But if you put all your energy into the experience and nobody comes back next week, that's not what I want you guys to experience. So that's what I would say. Those are some thoughts, but download that PDF, Steve. That's a really good question. Tip number 6 is be sure you're going over the top with your hospitality. And yes, you want to be dialed in with your hospitality team, your hosts, but more so than just your team being dialed in, what I would start doing now is planting seeds among your people that on Easter Sunday, and in fact, every Sunday, every weekend, whenever you have your services, hospitality is everybody's role, okay? It's everybody's role, and it's highlighted on Easter. So that's when people need to be sure they're going out of their way to introduce themselves, ask people's name. Don't ask the question, are you new here? Ask, how long have you been coming? So if you can even start training your entire church, yes, you want to take your volunteer team up a level, but if you can start training your entire church that hospitality is everyone's responsibility, then on Easter Sunday, you guys can be all dialed in. And then if you can carry that over to every single weekend, that people see it as their responsibility to welcome people home, give them their seat, go out to lunch with them, invite them, get to know their name, recognize them, see them to come back. You can even do this online. So even now, for example, if you're a larger church and you're streaming your services and you see people who are kind of like subtly stalking your service, maybe they don't really attend your church yet, but you see them logging on. Now they can people can be dialed into that, start developing relationships with them and start tagging them. Hey, Julie, are you going to be able to join us on Easter Sunday? And so if your people can start thinking that hospitality is everyone's responsibility, not just your greeters and ushers, now that is a great time and that will help you to go over the top. Tip number 7 is an integrated marketing campaign can work. It can be really effective, but so can a really well supported single idea. So my background in kind of higher level marketing is we have a communications matrix that has like 140 different channels of communication, ways that you can communicate things. It's crazy. And you can build out like a matrix of how you're going to use like 30 different channels of communication to promote your Easter services. And that's awesome. That's over the top. But I'm telling you, I'm going to walk you through a plan that your church can do that doesn't require a spreadsheet of 150 things. And if you do it, if you really, really do it, you will have a big Easter weekend. So here is the plan. So the step 1 is you want to order some nice invite cards. Okay. So some simple invite cards. If you can, I'm going to explain here in a second, but if you can actually put some additional money to make them a good paperweight, make them nice, make them stand out, not cheapo cards, and I'll explain why here in a second. order some nice business cards. And again, the idea is if you could only do one promotional strategy leading up to Easter, this is what I would do. The next thing I would say is 5 weeks out from Easter, give one card to every person on your core team. So this would be your staff, your leadership team, your board, anybody who you would say they are our core team. You're going to give one card to that person. You're not going to give it to the entire church. You're going to start with your leadership. So what they do that first week, again, your church doesn't have them yet, your core team has them. You go and everyone on your core team, including you, including your lead pastor, you invite people with that one card. You're not giving a bundle of cards. You get one card and you invite somebody to Easter that week, and then you collect stories, okay? So that's the leadership's responsibility, and the goal of leadership is to go first, okay? Leaders go first and lead the way. So if your church, and again, and we've talked to some CMU churches that would say, hey, we just feel like we've dropped off the map with our people, not inviting other people. And sometimes as pastors and leaders, we get frustrated because our people aren't inviting people. So what we really, when you go and you start looking at it is, if that's the case, more than likely the leadership is also not inviting people. So what leaders do, the people follow. If they're truly leaders, what leaders do, the people will follow. So that's why the first week, what we're going to do is have the leadership lead the way. The next thing we're going to do is 4 weeks out. So that's why I wanted to go Monday of this week, because this would be your leadership week. So you can get going right away with this. Even if you don't have cards yet, you could come up with a strategy and get your team, your lead team, inviting people right away. Now what you're going to do is 4 weeks out from Easter, you're going to put one of the invite cards on every chair. One invite card, not a bundle of 500, not a stack, not rubber banded together. You're going to put one invite card on every single chair. Okay. Then you're going to share stories during service from that week. You're going to say, hey, our leadership team started doing this week, and let me tell you what happened. Okay. So you're going to share stories. Then you're going to challenge people. Everybody grab your card. It was in your seat. Everybody pull this out, grab it in your hands, look it over. You're going to invite one person this week. One person. That's it. Your goal this week is to give that one card away to invite to Easter. That's it. You're not having to invite 20, 500. You're inviting one. And then what you do is you're going to pray. After you've kind of walked that through, the leadership did this. Here's some cool stories. Here's what we're asking you to do. Then you're going to pray for divine opportunities that week for your church. Okay. And then this gets really simple, guys. From there, you're just going to repeat that process each week. Now, for this to work, don't muddy it up. Don't try to do 500 other things. If you really want this to work, make sure every single week you repeat that process. The key is to continue to lead the way. Don't make it more complicated than it has to be. Support it through social media, through your Facebook group. Go live and share stories into your group along the way, okay? And you're going to repeat that process each week with one card out, share stories, challenge people to give that one card away, pray over it, and then support it during the week. Super simple, but highly effective. And again, it supports the idea that the goal of marketing is relationship. So what you're going to do is, hey, you're going to help people start developing those relationships. And when they have personal connections to the people who are coming, people are much more likely to continue to come back. Okay. Now, here's the thing from another kind of bonus idea on this is 1 to 3 weeks out, have an Easter focused prayer meeting. If you already have a prayer meeting on the calendar, make it Easter focused. You could have the invite cards again, and make the invite cards a focal point of that prayer meeting. And so if you can surround everything that you do in prayer, it'd make that much more effective. So any questions here? One coming in here, Renee saying, what week do you put on the seats? I would say, Renee, 4 weeks out, 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out, 1 week out, it's on the seats. Now, if you're just hearing about this and you want to do it, then just start with whatever you can do, okay? So if you're already behind, then just start whenever you can. Even if you can do this 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 weekend, start with what you can do and just repeat it in through Easter. Now, I think Matt might be on here, but we had one CMU church, when I say CMU, Church Marketing University Church, they did a cool deal where they took the invite cards idea and they didn't stop it 1 week out. They actually put invite cards the week of Easter as well. And I thought, oh my word, that's brilliant. put an invite card that promotes your next series in Mother's Day on those seats, or maybe just a generic one, because you're going to have a ton of visitors. If you provide a good experience, now they can go out and invite people as well. So I thought, man, that's brilliant, is to use the invite card strategy on Easter Sunday as well. So that's kind of an extra tip there. Good question, Renee, on that. So that is the single strategy. If you could only do one thing, if you're cramming your promotion strategy the last minute, that invite strategy will give you a ton of people on Easter Sunday, and then put the rest of your focus following up with them, okay? And so I want to walk you through a Facebook strategy that now, if you want to go to kind of this next step, here's what I would recommend, and I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible on the social media side. So on social media side, here's would be my plan. Again, if you can't get fancy with it, if you wanted to get fancy, look at the video Chris Abbott and I did last week that went for an hour on Facebook ad strategy. If you want to do something simple, here's what I would recommend. 3 weeks out from Easter, make a video invite post. This could be a Easter promo video. This could be something as simple as your pastor getting a phone out and doing an invite. In the church marketers group, there's been a post on this where I've posted a lot of example videos if you're looking for what could it look like and feel like. But you're doing video invite post. The next step, as soon as that post goes live on Facebook, this is 3 weeks out from Easter Sunday, cross promote the snot out of it like crazy. So that video goes live. Your lead team, your staff, your core people, interns are right there. You hit play, you watch the video, because Facebook knows if you didn't watch the video and you're sharing it. You watch the video and you all share it like crazy. You comment on it. You start the conversation. Then you do the same thing via email. Send out an email, 2 to 3 sentences max, no graphics, one link to the video. Say, hey, we just launched our brand new Easter promo video. Check it out, and take 30 seconds to tag a friend and share it with your friends. Okay, so you're going to then go into your Facebook group. You're going to promote it there. You're going to promote it on your Sunday services. You're going to promote it on your midweek services. Every way that you have to get the word out about that promo video, you cross promote that sucker like crazy. What you're trying to do is build social proof and momentum on that post. That first week, what you're going to do is actually pay to target your people. Because again, what you're doing is you're creating critical mass in that post. So if you can target people who like your Facebook page, who live within driving distance, if you can upload your database and create a custom audience in that first week, pay a little bit of money to target that post. So you're cross-promoting it, you're getting a ton of free traffic, and then you're paying to get a little bit more traffic to make sure everybody in your church has seen that post, liked it, commented, shared it, everything. So then 2 weeks out, once you have social proof, now what you're going to do is going to create an ad to that existing post, and you're going to target people who are friends of friends who like your church within driving distance of your location or locations. So that is probably going to be, we just did this with a church marketing university church, Pastor Ryan. He's in New Orleans, and they're a church plant just past the year mark. And their church plant, I think they just had a record attendance, I think around 70 people. Their church plant on Facebook has 30,000 friends of friends within driving distance of their church. So we went in and we did the same strategy where we kind of ran the organic, cross-promoted it. Now we're running ads, friends of friends within driving distance, okay? So that's 2 weeks out. So you're trying to get low-hanging fruit on free, low-hanging fruit on the friends of friends, and then 1 week out, that's when you're going to flip it over to target your demographic within driving distance. So these would be people who aren't necessarily friends of friends, but they're within driving distance of your church. You've got a ton of social proof on your Easter promo. And now you're kind of going to go after that wider audience who maybe have never heard of your church. But when they see your invite video, they see, oh my word, that has 200 shares, 200 comments, 200 reactions. You have a lot of people building up excitement and saying, can't wait. You can pre-register your kids, so on and so forth. So if you could only do one Facebook strategy, that would be the one that I would recommend that you do. Now, there's many more that you could do. Again, check out the Chris Abbott interview I did last week if you want to go more in depth. One thing I might say too is, in this process, kind of the bonus that you see down here at the bottom is if you can retarget people, custom audiences. So you can upload your database to Facebook and create a custom audience. So if you could get maybe anybody who's been a visitor at your church in the last 2 years, maybe they came to your Christmas, maybe they came to your fall harvest party, maybe they came to vacation Bible school, maybe they came to Easter, maybe they came to last year Easter egg hunt. You put all those people who aren't connected to your church into one custom audience, but they've been to your church before. Then target them if they're within driving distance and add that audience to this Facebook strategy as well, probably starting 3 to 2 weeks out, because again, though that's a low-hanging fruit for your church as well. So, man, I've thrown a lot out to you. I wanted this to be like as short as possible. So now I wanted to take some questions. We had a couple questions come in from the church marketers group that I might jump over and do. And then if you guys have questions, now is the time to throw in your questions. Again, if you want to go deeper, jump into the Rethinking Easter course, churchmarketinguniversity.com/Easter. You can get all the PDFs, the ultimate guide that's coming out, the Mother's Day ideas, the follow-up plan, the Connect card ideas. There's like 8 different downloads in there. There's 8 different videos that you can go much more in depth. It's totally and completely free between now up through Easter. So you can jump into that course if you want to go more in depth. So next question, I'm going to try to get to now as many questions as I can. There's also, let me say this, throughout Church Marketing University, if you're a Church Marketing University student, be sure you're getting into our private Facebook group. Now that I'm doing this full time, I'm able to offer support into the private group as well. So if you guys have questions, I'll be going live in there, kind of giving you guys support between now and Easter as well. So be sure that you're in there. And then there's also, if you're in the Easter course, there's comments at the bottom of the course. You can put comments in there and our team will get to those comments as well. Robert's asking, would it be better to go this route with a smaller budget? Yes, if you have a very constrained budget, do the invite cards and then do whatever strategy on the Facebook side that I talked about and do as much money as you can spend. And if you can only spend a little, spend it on those custom audiences or the friends of friends within driving distance, okay? So if you have a very limited budget, do the invite card strategy I talked about, do the cross-promotion social strategy, and then spend the little that you have remaining on Facebook ads. Let me also say this. I don't want you guys to miss the fact, too, that you need to save some time, energy, resources, volunteer power for after Easter. Okay, so when Easter is done, you guys need to be able to retarget people who visited your Easter to promote your next series and to promote Mother's Day. Okay, so save some money and budget and energy to follow up and promote the things that are coming up. So you can take your list of people who visited you on Easter Sunday, who visited maybe like your Easter egg hunt or outreach, and then put those into an audience that you're now inviting to that next week after Easter and to Mother's Day. So don't forget about that. Leslie's asking, is there a shape, color, sizes of the invite cards that have been more effective than others? I think really, Leslie, on that, you want it to match your brand. I think the simpler, the better. So don't try to put too much. I mean, if anything else, the name of your church, you're invited, and the website, I think is plenty. And then you can tell them more on the website. I think churches err putting too much, making it way too crowded. I think making it a nice card too, where it like feels like it's got some significance. I really like that because it's better than just maybe a flimsy business card. And if you're ordering less, you can spend more money to get those quality cards. I like simple colors. I feel like for me, black, white, red, I love simplicity. But if your church is branded a different color, I would kind of figure out your bold color and go with that if you can. Don't make it too crazy. Some churches also, if you're on a really limited budget, will order generic invite cards that maybe they can use leading up to Easter, but they can also use after Easter as well. So if you're on a really limited budget, make a generic card that you can use every single day of the week. Maybe it's not Easter specific, but your people are kind of adding that customization to it when they're handing it out. So I don't know if there's any like specific trick Leslie, like a one color. Summit Park Church, we picked the red color early on as a bold color that really stands out. And so that works really well for us because it's just bold and it stands out. And a lot of what we do is kind of in the red, black, or white color scheme. So Daniel, for the 3 weeks out invite video, what should that look like? Pastor giving a talking head, highly produced, or dead simple, low production, vertical? Daniel, if I had it my way and you could do anything, I would say you could do all the above. So if you were a bigger church, I would do a highly produced video. I would do a low-key video with your pastor shooting it selfie style. I would do a video that's 15 seconds and I would run that on Instagram stories. I would kind of look at all the channels of communication you have, get that team that's really bright at this and be like, what should we do on Instagram that really would hit home there with that audience? And so if you can do anything, get that creative team thinking through what would be really effective for you guys. If you could only do one thing, I think shooting a decent video of your pastor casually saying, hey, this is Ryan from City Church. We can't wait to meet you on Easter Sunday. We've got 2 services. You're going to enjoy it. Come as you are. Services last an hour. Your kids are going to have a blast. I'm telling you, they will absolutely love it. So we can't wait to meet you this Easter Sunday. Join us at Service Times website, and then sprinkle in some B-roll over the top of that. I think if I could only do one, that type of deal has worked really well with us. And if you can't even do that, shoot it selfie style, just like this. Vertical is fine. And get some decent natural lighting, get some decent audio, and just have your pastor have some fun with it. And if that's what you've got, that's what you've got. And get the word out there of what's going on. Make it fun. But you can do a lot with a little, especially with cell phones nowadays. Leslie's asking, is it useful to set up an Easter Facebook event page to market? I would say I'm not a huge fan of Facebook events. I know there's been a lot of conversation on there. I think I'm not going to be mad at people if they do it. That's fine. I feel like you've really got to know your stuff. You really got to build critical mass. But if it's work for you and you're going to put a lot of time and energy, do it. If it's going to be an afterthought, don't do it. Stick with the invite card strategy. If it's just like one more thing that you're going to do. I also recommend if you're doing a whole bunch of stuff, maybe you have a Good Friday service, you have a couple Easter outreaches, you have a couple maybe community events, then maybe make an event that is like your Easter week. And you have kind of all those things going on inside that event. Photos from all that stuff, live videos from your team, updates along the way. So if you're doing a lot, maybe an event that spans an entire week could work great. The thing too about Facebook events, they normally get a lot of visibility when the event is going on, but not before and after. So I think this is a John Eric Mosler, a social coach I follow. He talks about make your events longer. That way you get more visibility during that event. So I think there's some hack things if you know your stuff that you can turn into a successful event. But for general, I don't love Facebook events. Number 2, Facebook carousel ads, yes or no? It doesn't seem to be going on Instagram. Carousel ads, I think you could, like if maybe you want to break out your Easter Sunday, if you have like things for kids, for students, maybe some fun things you're doing, maybe some, so that way you can kind of show different things that your church is providing on Easter or that week. So a carousel ad, I think, has its place if you've got multiple things that you want to promote, but I don't want to make it too hard if you're just trying to look for a low-hanging fruit. For most churches out there, just getting the invite card strategy going and using a simple invite video in that kind of 3-2-1 scenario there. Is there a place you buy your cards, or we just need to make ourselves? Renee, good question on the cards. We are a partner with Outreach out of Colorado Springs, and inside Rethinking Easter, I think video number 5, when we talk about the marketing plan, we have a specific rep from Outreach, a specialist that can help you get the best deal for church marketing and church marketers through that link. So you can kind of reach out to them. But there are a lot of places that you can order cards overnight if you need to get them for this week. There's a lot of great places out there. I think even like Vistaprint, Moo Print. I mean, you guys, what else? I mean, there's like a 50 people watching this, so maybe put where you guys would order. But for a place that we partner with that serves the church, what's nice about Outreach is they have specialists that understand Rethinking Easter and what we coach, and they do a ton of stuff. So if you need a card that also matches like banners, that also match a direct mail piece, and you want to work with somebody that has a heart for the church and that is a ministry, and the money goes back to the kingdom, then Outreach would be one that I'd really recommend you look into. Is there a strategy to utilize the Facebook local app for Easter? Jeffrey, I'm not sure about that. One thing I will say is for those of you who have Google My Business, make sure you're logging into Google My Business and make a post for your Easter Sunday. Google My Business is now integrating where you can make almost like social media posts on the Google platform. So go in there and you'll see it where you can now make a new post and make a post about your Easter services coming up in your special times for that. So I don't know about Facebook local app specifically for Easter. I could look more into that. We could talk if some of these questions jump in the church marketers group. We've got two different groups. The church marketers group has about 3,000 churches in it. That's my favorite place to have the conversation where you have thousands of churches that can kind of, hey, here's what we're doing, so on and so forth. Then we have the private Church Marketing University members group. So if you have something and you're a CMU member and you want to talk about it, post it in the Church Marketing University members group, and our team makes sure all of those get answered and support. So it looks like we got a lot of people posting different places where they order, Go to Print, Radiant Print, Vistaprint, Outreach. Yeah, Kendra, I agree. Outreach is great. Now let me show you real quick, because I think I owed somebody in the church marketers group. And if you guys aren't in the church marketers group, let me jump over in here. This is kind of dangerous to do on a live video. So let me jump in to this one. So Henry was asking, we're doing the Great Easter Candy Bucket Hunt at high noon. I love that high noon campaign with a landing page. And should we register your child for this event on the form on the landing page to get an idea how many kids might come, or no registration form? Man, we get this question a lot, and honestly, different cultures, different communities. Yeah, we've had different experiences with. So some of our churches that are in communities that they just don't have people that really register an event outside of the day before. So there's some cultures where they're just not going to do that. It's an uphill battle, especially if it's a free event. I mean, we've tried with things like Eventbrite, Facebook, events, and we just couldn't get anybody to jump in. And so part of it might just be a little bit of your culture. Now, let me also say the flip side of that is I am a huge fan of using pre-registration online for your guests before your services. So if you can implement a plan your visit and a kids pre-register online. Now, if you're a part of Free February, you can look in the guest experience course inside Church Marketing University, and we show you how to do the kids pre-registration. But if you can do that, that is huge. So I would say, Henry, if you haven't done that yet, I'd rather see your church offer online kids pre-registration for your visitors for Easter Sunday than anything else. So maybe putting your time there, because when families can pre-register online and you can start getting contact information and start developing that relationship before Easter even gets here, that is money. So that's, I would say, priority number one. And then I think priority number two is I would try some things and figure out the sweet spot for your events. Every event, every church, every community is going to be different. But if you can find the secret sauce for your community and having people pre-register, then I like it, because anytime you can get contact information, you can get people taking that step towards your event, towards your church, you can start developing those relationships. So I was out with a church and we were eating some amazing barbecue, Q39 barbecue here in Kansas City. What? KC barbecue. And we were talking about they're going to do an Easter egg hunt before Easter, and they're looking at doing some things like maybe a slime station where kids can create their own slime. I saw some people in the church marketers group. We talked about this idea over lunch. that maybe doing like a glow in the dark Easter egg room. So maybe if you're like meeting at a school or a community center and you have multiple rooms where you're doing different stations, you could have some of these special stations. And then what you can do is leading up to the event, you could experiment with offering like a Disney style fast pass, where if people pre-register online, they automatically get kind of a ticket that they can print off and get into some of those special rooms without having to wait in line. Now, again, your team would really have to think through that, but you might do something unique like that where you can offer, some sort of fast pass. But anytime you could get pre-registrations, it's awesome. If you can offer free tickets, I know a lot of churches will offer like free tickets through Eventbrite and say, hey, it helps us plan on how many Easter eggs to have. If you can offer a good reason why people need to pre-register, maybe they get in an hour early if they have a ticket. I mean, you see like Disney World and these people doing this, they offer some sort of reason that gives you an incentive to pre-register in advance. You get the best deal, you get early access, you get special access, you get to skip the line, you get a special gift. If they'll just do it just to lock in their spot and help the church know how many eggs to prepare, then anytime you can, I'm a fan of that. But I would rather you spend your time and energy, if you haven't yet, dial in your kids' pre-registration for visitors for every single week. I was looking back at the stats for Summit Park Church, and we launched in the fall of 2013, and we've had 483 online kids pre-registrations come in that span of time. 483. So our culture definitely has moved to doing everything online in advance, from getting your coffee, mobile orders, Chipotle burritos, booking vacations, booking tickets. So if you can move that way, that would be awesome. But anything else? Any last second? I might have time for one or two more questions. Let me just also say, for those of you that are part of Free February and Rethinking Easter, our Church Marketing University spring enrollment is live through March 8th. We marked down the price from $3,000 to $997, and we have a payment plan that gets you access to all 30 courses for the next 2 years. It's the last time we are offering the 2-year enrollment to all the courses. It also gets you access to Church Audio University. It gets you access to our Generosity series, which, let me just say, will pay for your enrollment into Church Marketing University. It gets you access to the live streaming course, the video editing course, and all the courses that we launch in the next 2 years, as well as the private Facebook group and unlimited questions. It's also access for your entire team. So we say, hey, CMU is divide and conquer. Get in, spread it out amongst your staff, volunteers, board, interns, whoever's helping your church. Divide and conquer that sucker, and you guys can move forward and reach people. I love it. I had a CMU member today saying, man, we had a record attendance today. This is awesome. I can't tell you how many stories that we're having come in of CMU churches who, and what's funny is, and I sent out an email over the weekend, I hear so many pastors and church leaders saying, man, it felt like we were on a treadmill or just hitting against a brick wall over and over again, meaning a treadmill, like we were doing so much activity, but we would get to the end of the year and we tried so many different things and we were still at the same spot on the treadmill. Okay. And so if you're like, man, I want to get off the treadmill, man, I think Church Marketing University would be something to really check out. A lot of you guys have been in it for the month of February, so you know all the content in there. We've got some cool courses launching over the next couple months, a Facebook groups course. We're working, talking with some people on an Instagram course. Google Grants course is already shot and in editing. So we've got a lot of cool stuff lined out and coming soon. But we only open enrollment a couple times a year where we mark the price down 67%. And this is the last enrollment that we offer it for 2 years. So next fall, we're going to offer the enrollment. We'll probably knock the price down during the fall enrollment, but it'll only be for 1 year since we've really tripled the amount of value inside of Church Marketing University. When we launched it in May of 2016, we had 15 courses, and now we have 30 courses. Now we have extra things like Church Audio University. We have the Generosity course. We have things like the private Facebook group. We have things like unlimited questions. And we're launching new courses like crazy. So another question, I'll take this question, and then if you're watching the replay, we'll answer any questions in the comments or inside the course as well. But Rebecca's saying, we'll catch the replay. Oh, love CMU. Yeah. For those of you who are part of CMU and students, man, I can get you a list. You can also go on there and look at the endorsements, like the testimonials page, and just read about the progress that our churches are having. So it's a lot of fun. If you're not in there yet, we offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you're like, man, I just got into free February and I got in it late, I would jump in, because at the end of March, you can just ask for your money back, and we give refunds within that first 30 days, no questions asked. So you can get March for free, and jump in there, get your team in there, see if you can't get some traction going between now and Easter. And I'm telling you, if we can help double your attendance on Easter, get people back after Easter, imagine what it's like having coaching like this every single week out of the year. And that's what we're trying to deliver inside Church Marketing University. So you guys are awesome. Hopefully this has been worth your time on a Monday morning, and hopefully you get after it. Let us know if you have any questions, and get those cards ordered, get this going. And if you got any questions, put them below or reach out. A lot of people have my phone number or inside the group itself, and I'll be sure to get to your questions. But God bless, and I'm excited what God's going to do in your Easter services, and more importantly, after your Easter services, going into Mother's Day. Keep us up to date on the stories that you're hearing, and we'll see you guys over in the next video. God bless.